Hey there everybody, it's Mike DiLisio. Today I'm going to be reviewing a push your luck dice game from designer Reiner Knizia called Into the Blue. In Into the Blue you are going to be playing as divers who are trying to plumb deep into the depths of the ocean to gain treasures. It's essentially a dice rolling push your luck game. Let's head over to the table, I'll show you how it's played, we'll come back here and I'll let you know what I think. All right, here we see Into the Blue being set up as if it were a 4-player game. This is the box lid. You can flip that over and it becomes a little dice tray for you to roll your big chunky dice into. All right, so on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to roll these dice Yahtzee style, meaning that you're going to get up to 2 re-rolls of any dice, any number of dice that you like. What you're trying to do is you are trying to get an uninterrupted kind of line of numbers starting with a 1. So you might roll the dice. Here you can see I rolled 1, 2, 2, 3, and a couple of chests. Okay, so the numbers on the dice are 1 through 5 and a chest instead of a 6. So let's say that I wanted to go ahead and keep the 1, 2, and 3. I'll keep those off to the side, and I'll re-roll these. I have up to 2 re-rolls. 1, 2, 3, I rolled another 4, or I rolled a 4, another 2 and another 3. But let's say I want to really try for that perfect dive, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a chest. Well, I didn't do bad. Okay, so this is what my final dice roll looks like. You group the numbers together, and then at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to choose, let's say that this is the purple player that did this roll. You're going to choose, since this is called a successful dive, meaning that there is a 1 in the mix and you've got a streak of numbers here, or a run of numbers, I can place either 1 shell into the 1 spot because I have 1 die there, or I could put 2 shells in the 2 spot because I have 2 2s there, or 1 in the 3, 1 in the 4, or 1 in the 5. So let's say I chose to put 1 in the 5 spot. Then the next player would go and they would take their turn doing the exact same thing in clockwise order. Let's say this is yellows. They roll 1, 2, 2, 2, 5. Let's say they want to kind of beef up their 2 presence here. They got a couple 1s. They want to keep one of those 1s because this would be an unsuccessful dive if you didn't have at least 1 1 there. And let's say they roll again, and look at that. They've got 4 2s. So at this point, they could choose to put 1 in the 1, 1 in the 4, or 4 in the 2s. I don't think this would be a great move for them, but let's say they did it. They put all 4 of their shells into the 2. Okay? So players are going to continue to do this. If you ever get a perfect dive, which is, as I said, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a chest, what you're going to do is you are going to get one of these chest tokens at the bottom that are randomized. They have values from 5 to 8. You take one of those, and then you get another turn. The way the game is going to end is one of 2 ways. Either if the last chest token is taken, the player who took that token would end the game immediately. No one else would get another turn. Or if one player puts the last of their shells out, every other player is going to get 1 final turn. At the end, you're going to evaluate a final score. I'm going to go ahead and put some shells out here just as an example to kind of show you how that would work. Okay, so let's say this is how things played out and the end of the game triggered when yellow played their last shell. What you're going to do is you're going to start at the bottom of the player board here in the number 5 spot and work your way up. And there's going to be a majority here, all right? So in this case, purple has 2, so they would win that majority. They would go ahead and take that 10-point token right there. You've got a tie amongst the yellow, green, and blue players. So what you'll do is you'll move up to the next. Well, yellow, green, and blue are still tied here. So you move up, yellow, green are tied, blue is not. You move up here, yellow breaks that tie eventually. So yellow would get the 2nd spot, green would get that last token. And you work this all the way up until you get to the top. If you ever get completely to the top, then what would be the player who has the most unplayed shells would win the tie. This is if you go all the way up to the top level. And then if that was still tied, then it would be the person who took their turn last. But I've never actually seen that happen, although I suppose it's possible. So you're going to continue to do this, evaluating level by level, going up the track as you do, getting the tokens for each of the players. Then you'll reveal any of the chest tokens that you may have gotten from the bottom of the board, and the player with the highest number of points is going to win into the blue. All right, well, let's head back over and I'll let you know what I think. All right, well, there was Into the Blue, a very, very simple push your luck dice rolling game. So first off, let's talk about the components, because they're a relatively big part of this game, I would say, the potential appeal to the game. It certainly has some very, very impressive table presence. The chunky kind of semi-translucent dice are really, really satisfying to hold and to roll. There's just no question that those dice are very, very satisfying and a very nice physical component to a game that is built around dice. So it's nice that the main component is one that is so satisfying. The dual layer main board is very nice. I don't know that it was entirely necessary, but I certainly don't have a problem with it. I think the main purpose for it, for that double layer, is for one of the really only aspects of the production that I'm a little bit less than sold on, and that is placing in those treasure tiles, the little treasure tokens. Because it's dual layer, they kind of slot into a recessed area. And while they work okay, it's a little bit more trouble than it's worth. I know this is really kind of nitpicky because it doesn't take a whole lot of time, but the game is so quick to set up. That is really the only setup, is having to put those little pieces into those recessed spots, and they can be a little bit tricky to get into the right spot. But again, a pretty minor quibble for a very nice looking game with really beautiful dice. Those also, the semi-translucent, or I guess they are translucent, plastic shells are very, very nice as well. I can't speak to any color blindness issues. It's not something that I have an issue with. I do wonder if that might be difficult. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, especially between the green and the yellow, telling those apart. So I figured I'd mention it. It might be an issue. I'm not positive on that, but it is something I thought I'd bring up. But overall production, very, very nice. Perhaps overproduced for the game, and that's getting into the gameplay. This is about as basic as it gets for a push your luck dice rolling game. This kind of Yahtzee re-roll twice, saving any dice you want, and you can even re-roll the dice you had previously saved, has been done many times, not just by Reiner Knizia, but by other designers. It's a tried and true die rolling mechanic. And usually it's surrounded by some bit more of a hook, okay? And that's where Into the Blue kind of loses me a little bit, where all you really have to worry about essentially is getting a 1, getting at least a single 1, because if you have a 1, then you're going to have a successful dive. You're going to be able to put out at least one of your shells, and more often than not, more than one of your shells. Sure, there are going to be times that you might roll a 3, 4, 5 chest on your first roll, and then you are incentivized to keep those and keep re-rolling, and you may not end up with a 1. You may have a bust, an unsuccessful dive, and you don't get anything. But it doesn't happen all that often. So to me, the fear of a bust in this game is not terribly high. That can be kind of a big point of push your luck games, that you have to really feel that tension. You have to feel that threat of an unsuccessful turn. And it's here in this game, but maybe not as highly attuned as I would like, because really there's not a whole else lot going on. I do like the fact that if you get a successful or a perfect dive and you get one of those chests, that you get a roll again, but that could be huge, right? You could theoretically have 2 or 3 of those in a row. Again, very unlikely, but possible, right? And the game would be over very soon, and it would be kind of a runaway at that point. The game is short enough that I don't really have a huge issue on that, and most of the games I've played have been not runaway victories. They've been relatively what you'd be looking for in a points distribution. But overall, I feel like there should be one more thing going on to kind of keep me coming back to this one, because there are so many great push your luck games out there, so many good die rolling push your luck games, just by the same designer. He has a game called Escape or Extra or Rapido. It's been called a number of different things. That's just a fantastic dice rolling push your luck game. He has another game, same designer, called Easy Come Easy Go, which is another one that I think I probably like better than this one as well. So all that being said, Into the Blue is a lovely production, a theme I like even though it's largely immaterial, but I feel like the gameplay is not enough to give it a recommendation. I'm going to be giving it a 6 out of 10. It's certainly pleasant, and it's over so quickly that it's not going to, I don't think, leave to a negative experience, but I don't know that it's going to have a lot of stand-up and cheer moments either, which is what you tend to look for in a push your luck game. So that's going to do it for me, this review. This is Into the Blue. Mike DiLisio signing off from Dice Tower Midwest Annex.